I'm really glad you arrived there because I was going to ask you about Pakistan because some of China's closest partners and allies they have relied on China's money for a very long time for infrastructure projects, even CPEC. In fact, do you think that there is an awakening even with Chinese allies and partners like Pakistan that eventually even we are going to face a crisis like Sri Lanka if we don't actually look into double have a double look into the projects that we've actually signed up with them?
I think it is a very significant. It should be a very significant time to just get up and relook at the projects, relook at the kind of economic activity that China is involved in various countries. With Pakistan, I'm not so sure because they are so deeply into it. There is, especially the elites. There is very little that they can do. You see, for example, from Nawaz Sharif to Imran Khan now to Shehbaz Sharif, no one is actually saying anything about China publicly. They are worried about it. Clearly, the CPEC projects are all in limbo at the moment. There is a lot of resentment, in parts of Pakistan through which CPEC, this whole corridor passes, especially in Balochistan. There is a lot of disenchantment. Local people are very unhappy. But I think for the political elites in Pakistan in particular, it's very difficult to disentangle from China. And I think that's the real worry that you end up, and I think those who want to help Pakistan, uh, this will be the international lenders or the Western countries, will have to ensure that Pakistan, before helping Pakistan's economic activities are laid out more transparently into the open, so that it doesn't happen that while the money goes in the name of Pakistani people, it enters into Chinese pockets. Because ultimately the debt restructuring, the debt servicing that Pakistan has to do, Chinese will going to demand it. So I think there are enormous questions here that countries like Pakistan should look at. I'm not so sure. One is never very optimistic that Pakistan will see the way it is being, the challenges that they're witnessing. But I think even countries like Nepal, for example, there are a number of issues. There is a debt crisis there brewing as well. There is Maldives, for example, that has been balancing now much better than in the past. But there are other countries in Africa which have to look at this very, very carefully. So I think for the whole host of countries, this is a wake up call, and I think it's also a wake up call for China. It is also a wake up call for other countries that want to help these countries in trouble, because you really have to ensure that the help that you are giving is not really going into China. That the trajectory of the resource allocation is not that you try to help the people, and there the elite siphon this money to China. So I think that can become a potential problem because Chinese will demand it. But I think international community as a whole should ask China, and for greater responsibility, for greater role, and to come to the aid of these countries, especially when China is such a big beneficiary when the going is good in these countries.